Hello, good morning.
Good evening, Anusha.
Hmm. So here we had one function which is running fine, right? This is one test case. So the next test case, we will create new file test2.java. Like what is this? Hmm, okay. Yeah. Similarly, here new class and we'll create the next file. So which will come right below this test1.java. That is how we looking at this, that is how we feel we should be creating, right? But if I want to run multiple test cases, I will have to open multiple files and I'll have to open multiple files and then I'll have to run multiple scenarios. So instead of running multiple scenarios, we have one class here which is test. Why cannot we write multiple classes? Or else at least we have this one function main. So this whole thing till here, okay, all that, something like this. Okay, okay, okay. And here I'll call my new function. Okay. Similarly, I can create multiple. So starting with the test, I'll create one Google. Okay, once I'm done with this test case, ready? So similarly, I'll create another function, public static void text output to underscore some name, whatever the name of the test case is. Okay, and here uh, I'll have my own steps. Now here I'll call the other function as well. So this comes an error. In Eclipse, this is how it shows. I click here and it will take me to the error. So what is this? So because this function is being called over here, you have to write here as well. Okay, because if this function throws this exception, this function indirectly gets it. So you have to add throws declaration here also. That all is suggested by Eclipse itself. You don't have to worry so much, but I mean, practically it shows that when doing an interview they might ask. Okay, so one, two. I have split my test cases like this in the same class, and in the public void main, I'm calling those two test cases. So this is how you will be splitting your functionality into small functions. No. Um, yeah. Right. So two steps I have split. When doing the next test case, also I can call the same method by single line. So I'm making this reusable. Okay. So similarly, uh, yeah. Similarly, you can split all of these into so, public, static, var, hover, start. Okay. So I have written two arguments, driver and XPath. These are the dependencies from this test case. So I should be working on this driver, not any new driver. So I will give my driver to the function. Okay, it will carry that driver and it will work on the driver. Then I have XPath. So XPath will change for every different type of hover. In this I might be hovering on a logo. In the next test case I might be hovering on something else. Right, so I have split that function and made it independent of test case. Okay. So similarly, you can break each and everything into small functions and call them back. Okay. There is an error. Okay. Alert text is never used. Now I don't see that error message because it's never used. I get that warning. That's not a big deal. You can ignore it. Yeah, so this is how you split your method into small functions and write your test cases starting with test. Okay. So these methods, instead of keeping them in the same class, you can split them into a different class so that the size of the um let's say what do you call the size of the Java file whichever you're working on, it will decrease and it's easy for you to manage. So for example, in my project I have created something like this. Okay. This is when um, small function for minimize driver. Okay. Then maximize, like minimize, opposite maximize, then get text by expert. If you look at the outline over here, you get to see the list of all the methods that I have written. Okay, I have a lot of tables. Okay, so to get the table text validation, to get the row number, to get the element value, to click by expert, and the checkbox, radio button, drop down, okay, multiple drop down, text, everything I have split them into small functions. So verify alert we have seen, right? Switch to dot alert, and then alert dot get text. Alert dot get text will bring you the text, and then dot trim will remove the extra spaces in the front and back. Now I'm comparing that text if it is equal or not. Okay. So similarly, I have written for accept alert, dismiss alert. So I've split my first case into small functions, and these functions I will call back when I want to call. Okay, so for that, this is my actual text case. Okay. Um, yeah. So these are my actual test cases. So I have written my test cases starting with TEST. Okay. So this is one test case. This is test case number 2 in line number 96. Okay, and then the test case number 3 in line number 119. Test case 4 in line number 180. Okay, and so on. I have a lot of test cases. Okay, so that is how I have split them. And now HTML controller. What is HTML controller? HTML controller is this script which I have shown minimize, travel, maximize, whatever I have written, those. Okay, so I have renamed my extra page as HTML controller, but don't worry. Okay, so for HTML controller, means com.controller here or any HTML controller. This one. Okay. In this, I have written sector and certificate. Then I have a verified textable extra. Mm-hmm. Control click, it will take me there. Okay. For example, I have this verify click in second. I'll hold my control or command key and then click. It will take me to that method and I'll be able to look at it. Okay. Then so I can call click by expert. So whatever I wanted to click, the same. Find element by expert dot click, that's all. But I just made it reusable. Because find element by ID, then you give the ID, then you give dot click. That makes your script lengthy. So you just use the one word and then provide the driver and export. Okay. This is small function. They might be very big functions. Okay. So in such a scenario, you will split your functions. This is the splitting of your usable methods and putting them into a different script altogether is called as framework. Okay, framework is nothing big. Just framework is just that you split your methods and put them in different files. Okay, so once you put your framework in different files, there are different variations in breaking. Okay, I just broke reusable stuff. Okay, that is base of framework. Apart from this, there is one more way to split. That leads us to something called hybrid framework, page object model, keyword driven, data driven, and a lot others. So uh, coming to page object model, so page object model is like, in our application we have like 10-15 pages. Okay, so whatever operations we do in every page, okay, so in one page we will fill the form and click on submit. In the other page we will submit credit card details. In the other page we will check the cart. In one page we will check the product details. For example, a shopping website. In such a scenario, we will have to split our scenario, and we have to collect all the operations that can be done in one page into one Java file, into one class. Okay, so splitting like that. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, that is called page object model, because you do classes for pages. So each of your Java file will represent one of the pages. Apart from that, there will be one Java file like this with all the common methods. Okay. Now, I have split my functions and I've called here. After this, if you look at this line number 82, you see something called @test. Okay, @test. So in front of every test case, there is an @test. Why did I write this? I wrote this because controller main. There is no main method in my script. If there is no main method, how is it going to run? It's going to run with the help of testng, and this @test will help testng identify which of them are the test cases and which of them are just an extra functions. Like how I wrote launch, alert, example functions, like that you will have extra functions in the script, and @test will help identify the test cases and ignore such extra functions. Those functions would be only called by the test cases. Those functions will not be run on their own. Okay. So coming to testng. Okay. So testng, similar to Java, we have to download a jar file and drop that jar file into libraries. Okay. Then if you see @test, right? So testng has something like @test. Those are called annotations. Okay. Annotations help testng identify the controls over each of the methods that are written in the script. @test means test cases. Then @before test means that is something which should be run before the test is run. So we have two @test here, and if we had one @ before test, one function, then that would have been run before both of the test cases. So now before both of the test cases, it is run twice, once here and once here. For example, you have to open the browser. Okay, instead of saying open browser every time, you can say at the rate before method launch. Okay, for the function we have, you can write at the rate before method in front of the function. Before starting the public void, the line above the public static void, you will write those annotations. Okay, so we have a bunch of annotations over here. And yeah, this is in Eclipse you can download TestNG directly. You have something called Eclipse Marketplace. Go over there and install. Okay. So these are the clear steps. Mm, mm, yeah. So at the rate test we have seen. Then we have at the rate before test, at the rate after test. So at the rate before test is run in front of every at the rate test. At the rate after test is after the at the rate test. Okay. So here there is a method at the rate test. There is one after test. There is one before test. So when I run the script, okay. So first launch browser will run, then my at the rate test will run, then my at the rate after test, which is the terminate browser, will run. And for example, if at all we had in this jumbled order, still the order of running would be the same. Okay. Then, huh. So here we have like at the rate test and at the rate test. Okay. So if we have two at the rate tests, what would have run? First, at the rate before test, which is launch browser, then register, which is the at the rate test, then the and because here we have included something called before method and after method, right? So because we have included those are run before each of the test case, and as a whole before test and after test are run. Okay. Before test and after test are supposed to run once before register, once before and after support, twice. But because there is something called iterate before method and after method, those are run wrapping each of the tests and wrapping entire thing, the launch browser and terminate browser are run. Then you have something called iterate before class and after class, which means before running the class they are run, and once the class running is completed then the after class is run. Apart from that, you see something called where are these? Yeah, so priority. So in the ascending order of priority, they will be run. It doesn't matter if there are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 or 0, 3, 7. They don't have to be continuous numbers. They will be sorted in ascending order, and whichever test is being run, that or in that ascending order it will be run. And you can have some few other parameters to at the rate test. Those parameters include something like dependencies and groups, okay, and few others. So always run true, groups, priority, and something called dependencies are also there if they are not used. Then, yeah, so you have something called before suite, after suite, before class, before test, before group, before method, and data provider, factory, listeners, parameter, test. At the test we have seen. This before method, after method, and all you have seen now. So I have added something called groups in at the test here. So if I am running this so and so group, so if I am running so and so group, before running the group and after running the group, that method is run, whichever has the annotation of a thread before method. And if I have 2-3 groups running before and after each of the group, that is run. Okay, we will see these extra things later in the tutorial. Okay, then hmm, yeah, so before method, before class, after class, before test. This is how you drop the annotations for each of the method. And the method name does not have to be the same thing, it can be anything. This is just for your reference that they have given the same name, but it can be any name.
So Anisha, the thing can be the before method or before test. It can look like anything or the before suit. Everything is the same or it's different.
Yeah, the functionality is different, but you can add them in front of any function.
I mean, like, see, if I put something like at the rate before method
Mm-hmm.
and I have a thing like launch the browser and all. So can I
Uh-huh.
put the same thing in the before class if I don't want to have a before method?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So you want to launch the browser only once,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
That is what you want to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you
No.
can, uh-huh.
See, there are like it says before method, it says before class, it says before test, it says before suite.
Yeah,
So everything has a different meaning or everything is the same, but
different
the
meaning.
okay,
All of them
okay,
have different meanings. So,
okay,
before test means whichever has the annotation at the rate test is considered
hmm
as test. So before
okay.
and
So it
after,
runs before exactly that test thing.
yes.
So
Then before
okay, we have
class is
something.
like the whole class. How many ever tests it might contain, but still
Hmm.
it's run only once before the class is started and after the class is completed.
Okay, okay. So it's like for the whole program,
Yeah, for the
basically
whole class
class. Okay,
basically. Yes.
okay. And the method is
Method is similar to before and after test,
okay,
but
and the suite.
it
Okay.
runs it runs for all those which does not have at the rate test annotation also.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
So before
Okay.
test runs only for only front and
At
back
the rate.
of at the rate test, but before
Yeah.
method runs for every uh, method.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So how do you run this test case, because we don't have a main method? So in order to run the test case, we have to create an XML with this template. This is the standard template. Just copy paste. Okay. Um, so we take this template and so I created something called testng.xml and I copied this template. Suite test class. Okay. Suite test class and class. With this I have multiple classes. I'm including all of them. Okay. So forget about listeners for now, okay? And then forget about parameters for now. But it's like suite. Inside that you have test. Inside that you have classes. Inside that you have the class. Inside that you have methods. Which method to include and which method to exclude. If I have like smoke test, I will include only 10 test cases. So if I have regression test, I might include another set of 10 test cases depending on my regression, depending on the bug that came up and the regression relevant to it. Dependencies. Okay. So I will include all the test cases that I want and I will close my XML. Similarly,
Anisha, doubt. I
mhm.
missed the starting part actually. Yeah. So the framework is basically a collection of the test names, and it's basically a collection of libraries and objects or something.
No, which framework? I mean, so
See,
we,
now you have a program here saying that suite listeners test
okay,
parameters have this
this
method.
was our method test one, right? So I
I
wrote
missed.
all my code inside the main. Yes,
Mm, yeah.
but after that, I
This
did,
code was to open the Firefox, launch the Google,
yes, that
and
only.
just verify. Okay, yeah,
That's the
okay,
one.
yeah,
So
okay.
I pulled
Mm-hmm,
everything out and
mm-hmm,
simply put it into new function called test1 Google and call
mm,
that function in the main.
okay,
Okay. Then we launch the browser, right? So the launching
yeah.
part, I have split and put it into a different method and called it as launch. And this method
Oh,
I have called it here.
okay.
Then mouse over,
Mm-hmm,
I broke the mouse over into pieces
mm-hmm,
and I call that mouse over here.
okay.
So if I have two, three functions where, two, three test cases where I have mouse over, I can
Mm,
call this in one line instead of using three, four
yeah,
lines,
yeah. Mm-hmm,
right? And
okay,
accordingly, I have passed the parameters or the arguments whichever are required. Okay.
okay.
So this kind of splitting is called as framework. Okay.
Mm-hmm,
So
okay,
splitting your test case into bits and pieces, organizing those bits and pieces so that those bits and pieces are accessible to other test cases also. So similar like launch, hover and all, I have put in
mm-hmm,
a separate file like this, click by extra. So if you look at this list of methods that I have made on the right side over here, okay,
mm-hmm,
URL, I mean open the URL thing, maximize driver, minimize driver, then mouse over, then clicking, okay, the checkbox, drop down, multiple things. All of those I have broken into small functions and kept them in a different Java file so that these methods I can reuse in my 100 test cases,
okay, yeah.
right?
Mm,
So I have split and put them right here in our scenario because it is very small. But when
okay,
you have 100 test cases, so this is one test case, this is second test case. Test one Google is one test case, test two Google is another test.
yeah.
So if you have hundreds of test cases and you break all them and put them right here, it increases the size of the file. So you just take
Mm-hmm,
these reusable methods, cut them, put them in different file,
mm-hmm,
call the method from there
okay.
like this. So I have put in this HTML page controller to Java,
Mm,
okay, and then I'm calling it from there. Got my point?
yeah,
Right? And before each of the test case, this is my second test case, TC02. I've put it at the rate test annotation. TC03. I've put the @test annotation. And
Okay.
even before all this, I have my after method in line number 65, and after class in line number 49, 48, 49, right?
Mm-hmm.
So similarly, I have the after test, before test, all what are required. I have all those stuff. You know, before class, after class, and all. So I have split them, put it in a different function. Then I have called them from over there. Click by X path, verify elements, maximize driver, minimize driver, whatever. Okay. So this kind of splitting is called as framework. And this is the base of any kind of framework, be it hybrid, be it data driven, or be it page object model, or any sort of framework. This is the basic. Upon this, the next step would be like, if you have 10 pages in your application, okay, the functions in each of the page are written in different Java files. Okay, page 1, page 2, page 3. You keep like that Java file. Each of the file, for example, you have this e-cart, like Amazon or eBay. You go to the item display page, the listings, that is one page. Then you go to the cart, that is page 2. Checkout, page 3. Then you have this payment gateway, page 4. Confirmation page, page 5. User profile. So many pages you have, right? So what all operations can be done in payment gateway? Payment through debit card, payment through credit card, payment through some wallets. Okay, so all these operations which can be done are broken into small functions like this and kept in page5.java. Then you have this listings page. In the listings page, you can view the photo details of the item. You can mark it as favorite, or you can save it for later, or you can add it to cart. All such functions are written in page1.java. Okay, you don't club functions. Adding to cart, done. Going to cart and clicking on checkout button is in page2.java. It's not in page 1. So you split the actions in each page into each Java file. That is called page object model. Okay. Yeah. After splitting, we have to add annotations so that that is run. And these are the list of annotations. After adding annotations, we have to create an XML file adding all the test cases what we want to run. Okay. Mm, uh, so after doing this XML file, yes, so right click, run as, you will get another option called testng suite over here. Because I did not install testng yet, it is not showing up for me. Once I install testng after this that's given in that portal, I'll send you the link by the end of the class. So you will get this run as testng suite over here. Another option, second option. Okay. So if it is a Java file, we were directly running it from here because it has a main function. The public static void main is there. But when you start splitting the functions, you will not have a public static void main. SNG will be controlling the whole thing. There is no point if you have public requirement, right? So you create another XML file. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've created a lot of them. In this file, you include all the test cases that you want in this given format, right? So once you have this, you will right click run as test-ng suite. Okay. And then, okay. Just a second, I need to get my charger. Okay. ಮುಂದೆ ತರ್ಲೆ. Yeah. Yeah, so if you wanna execute, you have to create the test.ng.xml and then run it as test.ng suite. Or else you can run like this from the command prompt also. So cmd, this is command prompt. So from here, you will give some command like this, and you can still run your suite. But no one does it. Only when you do it through some integration tool like Jenkins or something, you use that command. But otherwise, you run it from Eclipse if you have it in your local machine. Okay. I'll just hit this and share. Uh, I'll give you this project. Just import it into Eclipse and try. Just go through it once. Uh, So go through like how and the folder structure is organized. Okay, these are the step-by-step process how to understand an existing automation suite, because you might not um, yeah. So the step-by-step procedure to understand an existing automation suite is that you go through the folder structure, the existing folder structure. first you expand all the internal folders, then you see uh, what is located over there. Okay, once you see what is over there, then you go and check the XML files. That is where you start from. Okay, in a TestNG project, you have to start from XML files. So open the TestNG XML. Once you open the TestNG XML, yeah, once you open the TestNG XML, the class name is legibly visible over there. Okay, so you go to that class name, control click will take you anyways. So that means that is where all your test cases are present. So go through each of the annotations and test cases. So at the very first time you will not be able to understand even an inch of it because this is part of a framework. In framework you split everything, split, and you don't have any direct code here. Everything is split, right? If you look at this test, our test case, in this method, you still have some code, right? But if you look at a formally written test suite, a professionally written test suite, you don't have a single piece of code because everything is split into small functions and you call those functions back. So when you want to understand what it is, you have to control click by XPath. So find element by XPath. And what is the XPath that is given? Label XPath. What is label XPath? Um, okay. So by clicking on each and every thing like this, you will be able to understand what is going on actually in the test case. Okay, by looking at it for the first time, you will not understand a single thing. Everything is split into bits. Okay, and then after looking at this, what is this HTML controller? This HTML controller is another variable associated with automation HTML page controller. So I'll click on this. Yes, it took me to a new Java file. What is written inside this? Inside this, uh, and being a experienced user, I'll be able to understand that this function is containing all the small methods. This is the main framework. This is where it all started. Okay, so this is how you decode an existing framework. I mean, not only to decode the one which I gave, but also in your real time, you will be given automation suite started by someone else. You will not start everything from the scratch unless it is the kind of automation initiative taken by the company recently or something. But if the company is already doing automation, it is a well-established company, they'll already have an existing suite and you are expected to cope up with that suite and start working, uh, explore that suite and add new test cases to that existing suite. So you should know where is what and what are the small methods, what are the bits and pieces that were written, and what is the file structure, where is what. Okay, this is how you get an understanding of existing suite. So try to do that, try to get through this suite. I have sent you the link. I have uploaded twice, just not to fail. Okay, so let's go through that once. Then when going, so where do you start? You have to start with the testng.xml. Okay. When you get some doubts, you can go through. I mean, you can put the keywords in Google and search. For example, at the rate after suite. You don't remember what it does. Just put a rate aptitude in TestNG in Google. You will understand. You will get a clear explanation of that. Okay. Mm, yeah. So this helps you to understand the installation part. How to install TestNG for Eclipse installation. Those details are given here. So go to help Eclipse Marketplace. Go to help the Eclipse Marketplace. Okay, the steps are very clear and you can follow them very easily. Alright, we'll proceed with the rest of the TestNG tomorrow. So any doubts as of now or shall we close? Hello, am I audible? Yeah. So any doubts as of now or you wanna go through this once or
Yeah,
twice and then
we'll go through this, Anusha. I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
so go through the video, go through the suit which I have sent you the link. I have uploaded it somewhere as a zip file. You can
Oh,
download
okay.
it.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, and then import it into the Eclipse.
Eclipse. Mm-hmm.
Install TestNG. Following these steps, I have sent you this link as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so install TestNG and just go through. Don't run anything. You won't be able to run it. Okay, so just go through the folder structure, the organization, how it is structured, how it is broken into bits and pieces. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh.